Hi and welcome back. In this video we're looking at something a bit more complicated, understanding some slightly more complex HTML. Let's create a new file in our project, which I'm going to call middle HTML. By the way, the files in the project, which are available at the start of this section, also contain this exact code and you can have a look at them. The files may be named slightly differently and that should be fine, I hope. Once again, we're going to do the same from BS4 import beautiful soup. And then I'm going to paste in some HTML. In this case, our HTML is going to represent an item that is being on sale in an online website. So let's say we've managed to extract the content from the website. We're going to look at how to do that. And we've ended up with this HTML here. And with this HTML, we can find out the price of the item, the star rating of the item, and so forth. Let me show you exactly what this looks like on the website, then it'll make a bit more sense. What we've got here is a demo website for web scraping purposes. And let's say we've managed to extract some HTML content from it. The content that I've extracted and put in the file is the content that represents this object exactly, this bit of HTML here. It contains an image, a rating, a title, which seems to be partly missing, and the price, and then whether it's in stock or not, and finally a button to add it to the basket. So this HTML here is what we've copied into our file. And again, we're going to learn how to get the HTML from the site very soon. So let's go back into PyCharm and look at the HTML. This is what we've got. We've got a list item here. That's because each element is actually in a list in the website. So an element is a list item of a big list that is formatted and structured in a bit of a different way than you'd normally see lists. Then it's got an article inside it. You can see that the article spans essentially the entire document, and that is everything that we're interested in. We've got a div, which has a class image container, and a div in HTML is normally just something used to structure your content. So think of it as a rectangle and you can put things inside it. And in here, what they've put is a link. And that's the A, which is used for linking. href is the URL or the address of the page that the link goes to. And inside the link, notice how the link starts here and ends here in this closing tag. You've got a image. This is an image tag. And this is the source of the image, that is some JPEG file. It's got some alt property, and it's got a class property. The alt property is the alternate text to show if the image cannot load for some reason. So that is the title of the book, actually, A Light in the Attic. Outside the div, we have a p tag, a paragraph tag, which is used for the star rating. This is a bit of a bizarre way of doing a star rating, but you can see that there is a class star rating and another class which is separated by a space in HTML called 3 with a capital T. So this book has 3 stars, but you can see inside it there are 5 I tags which are used for icons. So you can see that we must look at 3, this class here, and not at the number of I tags, because the I tags are always 5. So we don't want to look at that, we want to look at this 3. Then outside the P you have an H3, which is the title of the book, and you can see that the contents of the H3 are a light in the ... Presumably the book name is too long and it couldn't be displayed fully on the website. However, the H3 contains inside it a link to the book page, presumably, and also has a title property in it, a title attribute that is also the title of the book. Then you've got a div, which is the product price, and inside it you've got a p tag, which contains the class price color, and that contains the price of the book with a pound symbol in front of it. Also inside the div you have this other p tag called with class in stock and another class called availability. Presumably this class in stock will only be present in the document when the thing is in stock. And if it's out of stock, it'll say something else, possibly. We don't know that. Inside that p tag, you've got an I class, which is for an icon, an IE tag, sorry, that's for an icon, and that has a class icon-OK. Then you've got the text in stock. Notice how this is weirdly formatted. And finally, you've got a form that has a button in it. Don't have to worry too much about that. We're not going to be looking into this. Then you close the div that you started up here. Finally, you close the article. You close the list item, which is for the entire thing. And then you close your HTML. So we sort of understand this code. Maybe it's not the clearest thing in the world, but we are going to try to extract some data from it. So let's do just that. The first thing is, of course, to create our soup. So we're going to do beautiful soup of item HTML and the HTML.parser. Then we're going to start by locating the item name. Okay, so the item name, the title of the book, is, for example, in this A. You remember we've got an image there that has an alt property, which is the title of the book. Or more normally, we can get it off the actual title. This is a heading 3, as you know, and inside it there's an A, and the A has a property title, and that's the title of the book. We cannot get the content out of the string property because that has a 3 dots and it's missing part of the title. So we must get it through here. Okay, let's do that. Let's create a function which is going to be find item name. And I'm going to introduce to you a new way of locating things, which I think is substantially easier than the default way. So we're going to identify from the start of our document what path of children will give us our element, our A element. So as you can see, our title tag, our title property here is in this A tag. The A tag is in the H3 tag. The H3 tag is in the article tag. The article tag is in the LI tag, which is in the body tag, which is in the HTML tag. So we're going to look at any of these parents. We can start at anywhere. We can start in the LI, we can start at the article, we can start at the H3, and we're going to say article is the first one, for example.